2024, the dark horse year in cinema. A year where I commonly heard that this was a weak year for films. But I disagree. 2024 released a revitalization of genres. Auteur filmmakers flexed their muscles to provide career-best work. From the small indie filmmakers breaking out to the mainstream to seeing epics in the blockbuster space, as well as films that remind everyone of a time 30 years ago. A common phrase heard for many films in 2024 is, they don't make many of these very often. In the sci-fi genre, we got to see a new all-time classic. With prestige films, we got to see American epics. In horror, we saw an auteur create their largest film yet, as well as bold original films that set the internet on fire from fresh new filmmakers. In terms of films, I loved 2024, a unique year where I rewatched so many of the new releases because they were just that damn good. I mean, 2024 was even a year where two filmmakers like Francis Ford Coppola and Kevin Costner got to release films that they've had in their brains for many years, and only 2024 saw releases like that. Enough rambling. Let's kick off the motherfucking Kane Eddy Awards. Well, after attending 5 film festivals, seeing 75 new 2024 releases, and getting through an extremely huge year, both personally and in movies, it is finally time once again to celebrate cinema with the 3rd annual Kane Eddy Awards, my biggest video every single year. We will look at my favorite films of the year, as well as announce winners in new categories and revisit popular ones like the People's Choice Award, where you get to decide the best film for 2024. Just a quick disclaimer, as you probably know by now if you've seen the previous Kane Eddy Awards, release dates in Australia tend to be quite ass, if I'm going to be frank with you. There are a number of prestige films that were 2024 releases that I just didn't get the opportunity to see at all. Now, if there are some great films of 2024 that have been completely snubbed in all categories, odds on that is probably the reason why. My ranking for all 2024 films is live on Letterboxd right now. It has been made public, so if you want to see all the films that I saw in 2024, check out that list. Link is down below. Make sure to give me a follow. I do write some kind of substantial reviews down there, so if you want to see another side of my reviews, check out my Letterboxd. Time to get into the thick of things now with our first category for today, and it is our first new category called the Back to the Future Award. As the Kane Eddy Awards goes by the Letterboxd release date for a film and not the wide release, there are some films that get kind of lost in the shuffle as they do release in 2024, but they're not eligible for the previous Eddy Awards. This award ensures that those films that are kind of in that in-between get recognized as they should be. Here are the nominees for the Back to the Future Award. Cottontail, Lucky Mirror, Late Night with the Devil, Problemista, and Robot Dreams. And the winner for the Back to the Future Award is Robot Dreams. To say this film is special is just an understatement. Firstly, I have to have huge props to this movie. My review for it was my most popular video on my entire channel, and I couldn't be more grateful for that because this film meant so much to me. I have not cried for a movie like I have cried for Robot Dreams. I was an absolute mess by the end of this. It is a beautiful examination of friendship, of a true connection, of meeting someone that feels like the right person, but you're just in the wrong time. The film is filled with tragedy, but it is light enough that a kid can enjoy it. I think this film is perfect for all ages. It's a silent film. There is no dialogue in this movie. There's a couple of songs here and there. There's some great music and needle drops, but it's all told through amazing visual storytelling and some quite creative animation. It was so easy to connect with the robot and the dog in this movie. I thought the film was utterly phenomenal, and don't let the way this movie looks deceive you. This film is absolutely incredible, and it is one of the best films from 2023, and I think it is truly one of the greatest animated films of all time. In my review, I remember saying that I was quite mixed on its ending because it felt so tragic, and at the time I think I needed something a little bit more like a happy ending, but when you think about this movie more and more, something like that, those criticisms, those problems just seem to fade into the background and they don't really matter anymore. This film as a whole is a true masterpiece in animation, and one that I highly recommend that you check out if you haven't seen it yet. Next up is my second new category, and that is the Best Film Festival of 2024. I make going to film festivals a priority just in my life in general because you get to see a good array of new releases and different films. There is nothing like the atmosphere of seeing a new movie at a film festival with people that love cinema. It's one of my favorite things to do each and every year, and some of these film festivals were absolutely some of the highlights that I had in my year in general. I got to see 5 film festivals this year, and I wanted to take the chance to acknowledge all of them here by going through the nominees for the Best Film Festival of 2024. Brisbane International Film Festival 2024. British Film Festival 2024. Monster Fest 2024. Sydney Film Festival 2024. And the Underdog Film Festival 2024. And the winner for the Best Film Festival of 2024 is the Sydney Film Festival. This was my first time attending this film festival. I'm usually a regular at the Brisbane International Film Festival, and I wanted to try something different and explore a little bit. I don't go down to Sydney very often, so I thought, why not take the chance to check it out for a few days and go to this film festival. And I was not expecting the magnitude of this film festival at all. It really felt like a major film festival, one that was giving out jury prizes, one that was playing in grand theatres with packed out audiences. The main reason I went to this was to see the Australian premiere for Yorgos Lanthimos' latest film, Kinds of Kindness, and there is not a single screening I had this year that was quite like seeing that movie at the Sydney Film Festival. I saw it in the State Theatre, which seats about 1,000 people, and it was a packed audience watching this film. It was incredible. The seats were uncomfortable, and it's a long movie, so my back hurt by the end of it. But that didn't matter because just this experience was something that I will never forget. And the other 2 films that I saw there, Cottontail and Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, were both emotional, amazing movies that I was in tears by the end of. So all 3 films I saw, I had a great experience with, saw them in completely different and new theaters, which I quite enjoyed. The magnitude of the film festival and the organization of the whole thing was incredible. The biggest downside was that I didn't get to stay in Sydney for as long as I wanted to. I would have loved to have seen almost everything on this schedule because there was a wonderful array of different films from around the world. They were taking films from the Cannes Film Festival not too long after that film festival. There's so much activity going on there. The directors and the people in charge of the film festival are so active in acquiring new films. And yeah, there's not a film festival experience I have had quite like the Sydney Film Festival this year. An amazing film festival that you need to go to if you live in Australia. Now it's time to get into our mainline categories. We basically follow the Oscars in a lot of ways, and we're starting off today with Best Supporting Actor. Now, this is an important category, I think. I think a supporting actor plays such a pivotal role in a film, as they aren't in the film all the time, but they will leave a lasting and memorable impact if they do their job well. And these 5 performances did that better than anyone this year. That completely wowed me, that had me at the end of that screening thinking about them, sometimes more than the lead characters. And it's time to praise those amazing performances. Here are the nominees for Best Supporting Actor. Nicolas Cage in Longlegs, Barry Keoghan in Bird, Josh O'Connor in Challengers, Jesse Plemons in Civil War, and Bill Skarsgård in Nosferatu. And the winner for Best Supporting Actor is Bill Skarsgård in Nosferatu. This was honestly a showdown between the horror icons of this year, Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok versus Nicolas Cage as Longlegs. Two amazing horror performances, but Bill Skarsgård took the win because, honestly, if you take away all the prosthetics here, you still would not be able to recognize Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok. Everything about him is different, from this German accent and voice that he's putting on to the physicality of this role. I heard that he had to train to lower his voice an octave specifically for this role, and there's just something so profound about this performance. Count Orlok, in a way, can be quite complex as a character, especially as a horror monster. He's more than just a vampire that wants to eat people's heads off. There is some nuance to this character, and I thought Bill Skarsgård portrayed that perfectly, between both being a terrifying horror monster as well as someone that you can almost feel pity towards, and that all comes through this performance. There's such a weight to every word that he says and every time he appears on screen. His presence is something that you just cannot ignore. I thought he commanded the screen in every single scene he was in, and despite the fact that it is a horror performance, I think that they get disregarded quite frequently, and the Kane Eddy Awards does away with that. Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok was something I will never forget, and a performance that truly is deserving of this award. Now let's switch it over to Best Supporting Actress. Same thing really. The absolute screen presence and impact that they have on a film is something that you cannot ignore. And these were the 5 Best Supporting Actresses performance, I thought, of 2024. Margaret Qualley in The Substance, Saoirse Ronan in Blitz, Zoe Saldana in Amelia Perez, Kaylee Spaney in Civil War, and Zendaya in Dune Part 2. And the winner for Best Supporting Actress is Margaret Qualley in The Substance.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you next week.
The Substance is a beast of a film, and Margaret Qualley absolutely accepts the wackiness of her role as the alternate version of Elizabeth Sparkle playing across from Demi Moore. This film gets truly unhinged, and there's not a single moment where Margaret Qualley shies away from that. She totally understands Coralie Fargeau's vision here for this film and nails every single moment. I loved her performance. The way that she's able to charm the Hollywood executives to then having to deal with the consequences of getting so addicted to the substance and staying as this present form. I think as the film goes on, her performance only gets stronger, and she had a true lasting impact on this film, one that I truly think is deserving of awards recognition. A wonderful performance that, once again, I won't forget very soon. Now it's time to move into our craft categories, starting with Best Makeup and Hairstyling. This is more than just putting some paint on someone. The way that makeup and hairstyling is utilized in the movie industry, I think, is so profound to the impact of a film. It can completely transform an actor, put them into a form that makes them comfortable to play as someone else. They can be completely unrecognizable. There are just wonderful uses of makeup and hairstyling within film, and that definitely deserves to be acknowledged. Here are the nominees for Best Makeup and Hairstyling. A Different Man, Dune Part 2, Longlegs, Nosferatu, and The Substance. And the winner for Best Makeup and Hairstyling is Nosferatu. I mean, once again, look at Count Orlok. Do I need to say more? the way that his body has completely been shifted. They spent 6 hours a day putting Bill Skarsgård in these heavy prosthetics that make him look completely unrecognizable. And the design of this character is incredible. Robert Eggers is a filmmaker that has so much attention to detail, and the makeup and hairstylists behind the film were able to execute on that detail by making him look like a vampiric version of a real count from the time where this film is being set. I thought the detail was absolutely astounding and plays a pivotal role within the film. It is time now for Best Costume Design, another important craft category that I think goes into the look of a film so much, whether that's capturing a period or being something extremely intricate and detailed. Costume designers have an incredibly difficult job, and I think that it is so important, once again, that we acknowledge the craft that goes into this beautiful technical aspect of making a film. Here are the nominees for Best Costume Design. Dune Part 2, Furiosa, A Mad Max Saga, Gladiator 2, Maria, and Nosferatu. And the winner for Best Costume Design is Massimo Cantini Perini for Maria. Pablo Larraín's films are so great at conveying a time period with these amazing period costumes, and that is no different for Maria. Every fit that Angelina Jolie wears looks absolutely incredible and provides so much to the detail of every frame and shot. It feels like an authentic portrayal of Maria Callas, even if Pablo Larraín sometimes takes creative liberties with these real people. Because the costumes are so detailed and the film is so detailed, it feels like a great representation of the subject of these films. I think that the costume design here was absolutely outstanding and definitely worthy of this award. Now it's time to celebrate the bangers of 2024 with Best Original Song. These can be songs that play within the middle of a movie or at the credits. I don't really care. If it's a song that I'm listening to on repeat all the time and it reminds me of the great memories I had watching that particular movie, I'm very happy. Here are the nominees for the 5 best bangers that played for a movie in 2024. El Mal from Emilia Perez, I Saw the TV Glow from I Saw the TV Glow, Piece by Piece from Piece by Piece, Save Me from Trap, and Sick in the Head from Kneecap. And the winner for Best Original Song is Sick in the Head from Kneecap. This film is such a blast, and it introduced me to the amazing music from Kneecap, this Irish rap group, and the song that plays for the movie here, Sick in the Head, I thought it was a fucking banger. There's not really much more to say here. I'm not really a technical guy with music. Do I like the song or do I not like the song? And I fucking adore this song. I love Kneecap's music now, and this is another example of the great music that they put out. Every bar, every word, it's so profound, it's so fresh and exciting. I love hearing it, and this song was a true blast to listen to. Now, as I say every year, it's time to acknowledge a different kind of banger, and that is Best Original Score. I think scores are one of the most important elements to a movie in a lot of ways, because the music that is utilized helps create an aesthetic for the film. It helps create a rhythm to the film. There is just a great way of utilizing music within cinema to enhance that experience so much more and almost be vital to certain character dynamics and the way that a film progresses. I think these are the 5 best examples of an amazing original score in 2024. The Brutalist, Challenges, Dune Part 2, Inside Out 2, and The Substance. And for this one, I have to give it to some of the GOATs in making a film score, and that's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, baby, for Challenges. This was a score that I wasn't quite expecting from this film. Utilizing club music, very different to what I'm used to hearing from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who produce a lot of synthwave music. And this just feels like a natural transition over. I think Challenger's score is up there as career best work for Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Maybe their best work since The Social Network. It is so funky within the film, and the music that plays goes with the music of the scenes in so many different ways. And yes, it's not a musical, there's not literal music happening, but I'm talking about the rhythm and flow of certain sequences, especially the final scene of this movie. The way that the score is utilized goes hand in hand with the scene. It really does capture a fun energy, a youthful energy. It feels different, it feels exciting, and that kind of innovation is what we need when it comes to original scores, and that is why it is winning the Kane Eddy Award today. Alright, as you can probably notice, we're moving on from the craft categories and now moving on to the technical ones. Now to talk about best sound. Sound is another incredibly important tool utilized in cinema. And the nominees today go beyond just being a loud movie. Yes, some of them can be loud, but it's also the way that the sound is utilized. Does it have a true purpose within the film? Does it enhance the experience? I'm looking for examples of sound that utilize deliberate choices here. Ones that a scene will look and feel completely different without the use of this sound. Here are the nominees for Best Sound. Civil War, Dune Part 2, Long Legs, Maria, and The Substance. And the winner for Best Sound is The Substance.
People always ask for something new. It's inevitable.
There was no example of sound that I thought was quite as purposeful as what is utilized within The Substance. This is a disgusting ass movie, and yes, the visuals can be disgusting, but it is enhanced so much further with the sound. I mean, oh my god, it is unbelievable. From hearing a producer eating shrimp and eating food, it sounds so feral because the way that it is utilized enhances that in incredible ways. There's a sequence where a character is standing up after having a completely injured leg, and you hear her leg, you hear the bones in her leg just snap and contort in disgusting ways. And each use of sound I thought was so profound in making that body horror feel even worse. I said in my review for The Substance that it is the best body horror I've ever seen. And that goes so much further than just the visuals. The sound is so pivotal there, and that is why it's winning Best Sound at the Kane Eddy Awards, because of its deliberate choices with the form. Best Film Editing is a technical category that I appreciate a lot, because out of everything that goes into making a film, editing is definitely the thing I do the most while making YouTube videos. And while I am nowhere near as good as any of these 5 nominees at what they do, I can appreciate the effort that goes into crafting these movies, making cuts so precise, forming incredible montages, utilizing editing to quicken the pace of a film, make it more exciting, make us rest on a scene. There's such skill involved with editing and such patience that you need to have while you're sitting at a desk, cutting things together, making sure something looks halfway decent. Even that is a challenge. So to do it as supremely well as these 5 nominees is a skill that I am so jealous of and I wish to have one day. Here are the nominees for Best Film Editing. Challenges: Dune Part 2, Kneecap, The Substance, and Superman the Christopher Reeve Story. And the winner for Best Editing is Marco Costa for Challenges. Boy oh boy, the editing here is so supremely good. I almost touched on it a little bit when I talked about the score from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. The final sequence of this film is a beautiful aspect of the editing here, where it's quick cuts, utilizing purposeful shots. It helps build the rhythm of the scene, building towards an amazing crescendo. That's something only the editing can do. There are certain sequences in here that I thought were astounding with its editing. It feels so sharp. It feels so purposeful. There's not a single cut here that is sloppy or without intention. I mean, it really is an achievement in editing this film. Utilizing non-linear storytelling as well. We're choosing to cut at the right time, to go back in time or forward in time, to play in with the rhythm of the narrative. And yes, that may go to the screenwriting as well, but that cannot be achieved visually without fantastic editing. I thought Challenges was at the top of its game with its editing choices. Visual effects is another craft that I have no idea how they do. You know, we see a lot of sloppy visual effects in modern day blockbusters especially, but these films I thought were so clean in their use that it could make something digital feel incredibly real. There are incredibly complicated techniques to making this look good, and only the most talented can make that happen. Here are the 5 nominees for Best Visual Effects. Alien Romulus, Civil War, Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Twisters. And the winner for Best Visual Effects is Dune Part 2. I mean, you need these visual effects to be at the very top of their game if you want a film like Dune Part 2 to look good and feel good. And they not only deliver, they knock it out of the park. From the sandworms to the spaceships to the grandiosity of these battles, they cannot be pulled off without these incredible visual effects. They immerse me in the world of Arrakis and this story so much. And it's something that I can really appreciate. I think Dune Part 2's visual effects are almost leading in any film that comes out, with the exception possibly only being Avatar. And that is a pretty high standard to reach. I think that the visual effects here are truly special and are truly deserving of this award. Production design is one of my favorite technical or even a craft category. It's a bit of a combination of both. Building a set, creating a world for films is something that is absolutely unreal. I'm heading to Los Angeles in about two or so weeks' time, and I'm going to be going on a Warner Brothers studio tour. And any time I've been on a tour like that, it is incredible to see what has been built just for the purpose of making a movie. I really love that form, and I think as visual effects are starting to slowly take over, you see less and less films utilize production design to their benefit. However, 2024, I thought, saw a revitalization of that. You saw more authentic sets being built, amazing utilization of architecture, such precision and complicated approaches to production design that we don't see very often. And this award is going to highlight the 5 best uses of production design in 2024. The nominees for Best Production Design are The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2, Megalopolis, and Nosferatu. And the winner for Best Production Design is Judy Becker for The Brutalist. This film got me thinking about architecture in ways that I've never thought about before. To be honest, I don't really think about architecture all that much. Maybe if I'm building something in Minecraft. But in terms of real life application, in terms of different techniques and styles of architecture, I had not thought about that until seeing The Brutalist. Utilizing, get it, brutalism to create really 1 or 2 magnificent sets was so profound in this film. Production design is so key to the narrative here, and that is another reason why it's winning this award. Because of its importance, it's not there just to look good. It plays a key role to the visual imagery and grandiosity of this film, helping it communicate its narrative. It has so many interpretations. It talks about the beautiful nature of architecture and the artistry behind it. And seeing some of these sets slowly come to life over this 3.5 hour epic was a sight to behold. And I thought they was just so visually striking. and that is why The Brutalist is winning Best Production Design. Cinematography is definitely one of my favorite technical categories. You know, the camera work, the lighting, the importance of each and every frame, a lot of that goes into the cinematography, making a film look fucking good, making it look cinematic, making it look awesome with innovative uses of lighting, different styles. I absolutely love this form, and these were the 5 films that impressed me the most with their cinematography in 2024. The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, I Saw the TV Glow, Longlegs, and Nosferatu. And the winner for Best Cinematography is Greg Fraser for Dune Part 2. This is his last Dune movie, being the DP for this film, and it's going to be a significant loss, even if you're replacing Dune Messiah with Linus Sandgren, who is also one of the best cinematographers going out. Greg Fraser's work in this film jumps up from the first one. I think that this film is so visually impressive, with striking shot after striking shot, with new styles, utilizing a form of black and white in the Harkonnen arena was a sight to behold, and seeing that slow transition from color to absolutely zero color at all was really visually striking in ways that I was not expecting. The use of orange, which by the way is not a color that I love all that much, is utilized in a way that looks so beautiful in this film. I think some of the Dune Part 2's final moments are absolutely filled with images that you could hang up on your wall. They look that beautiful, and Greg Fraser deserves so much credit for making Arrakis look as incredible and amazing as it does. Okay, I am dying of heat right now. It is so humid here in Australia currently that I need to have a water. Time to have a 30-second break while I get a drink and cool off for 10 seconds. Here is an unveiling of sorts of my merch store. Check it out. Hold on for a second. Did you know that you can get new Kane Eddy merch right now? That's right. The Movies Are My Life merch. Direct arranged with badass caps, shirts and hoodies. The choices are endless. Check out the link below if you want to grab some of that sweet, sweet merch. Also, my channel has memberships available. That's right. You can join as a member. And I am on the journey to 1,000 subscribers. I am so close now. It is unbelievable. I really, really want to hit this number pretty soon, guys. So make sure to hit the subscribe button if you've been a fan of my channel. I really do appreciate it. Okay, we are back. Which dickhead decided in the middle of Australian summer, where it's hot as fuck, to wear a suit jacket, have lights beaming down on them, in an enclosed room with the windows closed? This dickhead, that's who, and I am dying because of that. This is the commitment that I have to show to the Kane Eddy Awards. This is the job of the host, and this is what we're here to do, baby. Let's get back into the next category, which is Best Animated Feature. We're kicking off with the major categories now. Animation, I think, is as strong as it has ever been. I mean, the past 5 years for animated films has seen so much creativity and originality. It is unbelievable, with filmmakers all across the globe playing with the art form in new and experimental ways that I think are working 9 times out of 10. And once again, we had a pretty great year for animation. I wouldn't say as great as the all-time year we had last year, but still pretty excellent. Here are the 5 nominees for Best Animated Feature. Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Piece by Piece, and The Wild Robot. And the winner for Best Animated Feature is Inside Out 2.
Riley needs us. Have I ever steered you wrong before?
Many times.
I know it's Pixar, and they've been around for a very long time, but they just go from strength to strength. They are one of the best animated studios for a reason, and Inside Out 2 goes beyond just being a really good animated film with commercial value. This film touched me on a very personal note. As someone who suffers through anxiety, through basically my entire life, and 2024 was a really hard year in that regard. You know, for the first time in my life, I started experiencing panic attacks and going through a really hard time. 2024 was tough, personally. And Inside Out 2 released in a time where that was at its peak. And man, this film hit me like a truck. I was in floods of tears afterwards, and it hit me at just the right time when I needed it most. Its portrayal of not just all these emotions that it played with in the first one, by introducing new ones, more complex emotions. One like anxiety was done in a way that I've never quite seen before. One that felt really touching and moves me right now. I saw the movie twice and was deeply moved both times by it. I think this film is really well done, and one that I could recommend to absolutely everybody. I think the messaging within it, its entertainment value mixed with humor, was wonderful. And seeing such emotions like joy kind of become a little bit conflicted as Riley's moving through her teenage years was a deliberate choice that works in a way that goes with the complexity of these emotions. I really think Inside Out 2 is a really special film, one that touches me personally, and that is why it's winning Best Animated Feature at the Kane Eddy Awards. Now let's celebrate films from around the globe. Best International Feature. This was a bit of an annoying category for me personally because distribution for international films was really shit this year. Either they weren't playing at all, or they would play at a film festival where it was conflicting with something else and I couldn't make those screenings. So the 5 nominees here are really the only 5 international films that I got to see that released in 2024. And it's a damn shame because I'm someone who likes to celebrate international films and talk about them more. So I'm hoping the distribution can get a little bit better as we move into 2025, because I want to see these films and I want to promote and talk about them because they always fly under the radar. But I will say that a lot of these films on this list, I did enjoy. I did appreciate them on some level. And it's just refreshing to see new voices in cinema, ones that you don't hear very often. And that is why we have to celebrate international cinema. Here are the nominees for Best International Feature. Emilia Perez, Flow, Hayao Miyazaki and the Heron, Kalki 2898 AD, and Kneecap. And the winner for Best International Feature is Kneecap from Ireland.
There are 80,000 native Irish speakers in Ireland.
Ní fac I chéad gan teanga ach lá náisiún.
3 of us have become rappers.
You may know the words, but you don't understand the language.
This film was a blast. Not only was it fun, it plays with a form in a way that I was not expecting. In some ways, it's a musical biopic of the rap group Kneecap. However, it takes a fictionalized approach. It takes some things that were real, does some other things that are more fictionalized for the film. It's stylized so much with fantastic editing, great direction. The actual band members of Kneecap are playing themselves in this movie, and they do a terrific job. Everyone in here is amazing in the film, but it's more than just a film about a rap group. There's a great message about the importance of language and what that means to someone's identity, as these Irish native speakers speaking Gaelic are getting that language taken away from them as the English are slowly starting to take over Ireland and integrate their culture. It is a film that I think is important in terms of talking about having a voice, being able to express something in a way that you identify with your culture. It was really important, and then you mix that in with its light tone in some ways and great direction and style. You just get a fun ass film that has substance to it, and that's all I could ask for. Kneecap is a fantastic film that you need to see. It is so damn fun and goes beyond just being some self-serious film. It combines them both in ways that I thought were fantastic. Let's talk about writing. one of the most important building blocks to a film. You don't have a film without a screenplay. And there are two types of screenplays that we award at the Kane Eddy Awards, similar to the Oscars. Starting off with Best Adapted Screenplay. We know what an adapted screenplay is, an adaptation of a previous work. I do add another spin on that, where a sequel to me is counted as an adaptation, because it's not completely original. It is taking something, building something of something previous. So a sequel is included as an adaptation here, just for clarity's sake. But these adapted screenplays, it doesn't matter if it's adapted or original, these screenplays are fucking phenomenal. I think are able to handle complex ideas, write dialogue in a way that is so compelling, has a nice rhythm to it, something that is a true foundation for the rest of the film to just launch and be so creative and fun. Here are the 5 films that I thought were the best examples of the best adapted screenplay for 2024. Conclave, Dune Part 2, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, Inside Out 2, and Nosferatu. And the winner for Best Adapted Screenplay is Dune Part 2. This screenplay is incredible. In ways, I would say in an underrated way, it is the highlight of this movie. The way dialogue is written can be so compelling. Every word that is spoken from each and every one of these characters, I was locked the fuck in. And this film is said to be an unadaptable movie from Frank Herbert's Dune novel. Denis Villeneuve and John Spates were able to weave something together in a way that understands the true intentions of Frank Herbert's novel and makes it more cohesive. Part 1 was written really well too, but Dune Part 2 just goes even further. There are lines in this movie that I quote to this day, to a very annoying fashion, to my fiancé. And she may get tired of hearing all these lines all the time, but man, they're just so fun, so amazing. I had a real blast with Dune Part 2, and its screenplay, it really is something to behold. Now it's time to talk about the best original screenplay, which I think is maybe even a harder job to do, because you're just starting from scratch. Trying to write a screenplay with just a blank piece of paper in front of you, or an empty Word document, is so challenging. You might have one launchpad idea to get things started, but how are you going to write the rest of the fucking film and connect everything together? These screenplays, I think, are an absolute achievement, with some being maybe all-timers, with the way they play with genre or introduce new themes that are so rich that when you revisit it a second time, you see even more to the film. There's such complexity with some of these screenplays that it is absolutely astounding, and I have to acknowledge them. Here are the 5 nominees for Best Original Screenplay. Anora, A Real Pain, Bird, Challenges, and We Live in Time. And the winner for Best Original Screenplay is Anora. This might be my favorite screenplay of the entire year. What Sean Baker was able to write is career best work by far. Not only are there amazing performances, which once again you can attribute to the screenplay. Mikey Madison has her breakout role. You have this great ensemble cast that are all great in their own respects. But Anora is a very deceptive film that plays with genre in all 3 of its acts. You know, starting off as this fairy tale, going into this screwball comedy, and then turning into something very serious with this examination of sex work and relationships and how taxing this can be on someone's psyche. The very final moments of Anora, which I won't spoil here, completely 180 this movie in a way where if you watch it a second time, you are going to have a completely different experience. And that is all because of the brilliance of Sean Baker's screenplay. Anora is a phenomenal movie, one that I will not ever forget. And Man, the writing here is something to behold. It really is one of the best screenplays, not only of this year, but one of the best screenplays that I've seen in a few years. It really is an achievement and something that definitely deserves to be awarded, and I hope it wins at the Academy Awards. Now with the screenplays done, let's get into our lead performers, the actors that are able to spearhead a film, make their characters so profound, playing a protagonist that is perhaps a complex role, something that requires a lot from the actor, maybe asks them to provide career best work, and these performers did it in each and every scene. There are some amazing performances to acknowledge in 2024, and right now I want to talk about Best Leading Actress. Here are the 5 nominees for Best Leading Actress. Nakia Adams in Bird, Angelina Jolie in Maria, Mikey Madison in Anora, Demi Moore in The Substance, and Zendaya in Challenges. And the winner for Best Actress in a Leading Role is Zendaya.
What do you think?
How fucking dare you? Jesus Christ. You want my best piece of advice for you? You want me to coach you? Okay, quit.
She had a phenomenal year. I think we all knew she could perform as a leading actress. We saw that in something like Euphoria, but now she's brought that to cinema with Challenges. This role, I mean, Luca Guadagnino is able to get career best performances out of his actors, and he does the exact same thing here with Harshi Duncan in Challenges. This character is one that is kind of complex. You kind of perceive her one way for a lot of this film, and then it kind of shifts on a dime as we move into the third act, as you understand her true intentions. This is a character that I haven't seen Zendaya play before. She's playing someone who is a little bit older than her, that has more life experience than her, and she's able to handle all of those different things extremely well. There wasn't a second in this movie where I didn't buy into her performance. I think the character is a lot of fun to watch, to see the way that she perceives relationships, both with her passion of tennis as well as this love triangle that she's in. I think that this character was a lot of fun to follow, and I think Zendaya is deserving of this award. She had a truly great year in 2024, and I do think that she is one of the best actresses working right now, and I can't wait to see whatever she does next. Now, let's switch that to Best Actor in a Leading Role. Here are the nominees. Adrian Brody in The Brutalist, Timothée Chalamet in Dune Part 2, Andrew Garfield in We Live in Time, Jesse Plemons in Kinds of Kindness, and Sebastian Stan in The Apprentice. And the winner for Best Actor in a Leading Role is Timothée Chalamet in Dune Part 2.
I am Paul Muad'Dib Atreides, Duke of Arrakis. Erudit Dina Heshidani Melisanagai.
I know that may come as a shock to a lot of you. There was a fantastic array of performances this year. But as I said in the screenplay category, there are many lines that I quoted in Dune Part 2 a lot over the year. And Timothée Chalamet basically said a lot of them. Did you see the clip that I just played for you? That scene alone cemented the win for me when I saw this film back in February or March, whenever it came out. And then the fight sequence at the very end, the physicality that takes, the preparation that he must have undergone to perform this scene to the best of his abilities was incredible. And what is said after that, the way that Paul Atreides shifts as a character, Timothée Chalamet is able to handle that so well. We know he is a phenomenal actor. He has done such great work over the last 8 or so years since he did Call Me By Your Name in that breakout role. He is one of the best actors working right now. And it's weird to me that the biopic performance in A Complete Unknown is the one that is getting awarded rather than the one in Dune Part 2, because this performance is an achievement. Forget the fact that this is a sci-fi or a genre film. I don't care about any of that. This performance did exactly what it needed to. This character was so compelling to follow. And I have no idea what I'm going to see from him in Dune Messiah, but I cannot wait to see what it is. Timothée Chalamet just knocked it out of the park with this performance and is truly deserving of this award. Time to talk about the category that I had the most difficulty picking a winner for, and that is Best Director. I looked at many different aspects for who should win this award and who should get nominated for this award. I had about 10 in my shortlist, and it was the most challenging thing to cut it down to 5 because the gap between 1 and 10 honestly wasn't that very large. They all did such great work. There is so much unique film, so many achievements, so many bold swings that I think were pulled off. Directing to me is perhaps the single most important element to filmmaking, in my opinion. And the 5 here are truly deserving of this award. Picking the winner, picking the nominees was so challenging because of, once again, the amazing directorial achievements this year. But these are the 5 that I decided to go with for Best Director. Sean Baker for Anora. Brady Corbet for The Brutalist. Robert Eggers for Nosferatu. Luca Guadagnino for Challenges. And Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part 2. And the winner for Best Director is Brady Corbet for The Brutalist. This was a last minute decision. For a lot of this year, I had another winner in mind, and I had to think about it very deeply. I saw the Golden Globes happen, and I saw Brady Corbet win, and that wasn't the thing that swayed me. But there was a little fact on the bottom here that I knew about, but it really sunk in when I saw the Globes. And it said, it took 7 years for Brady Corbet to make this film. And while I knew that, once again, that sunk in at the Globes, and it really just made me understand the magnitude of this project. How much Brady Corbet was willing to do with a fucking shoestring budget. It's said to be up to $10 million for The Brutalist, but some people think it might be even less than that. And to pull off what he manages to do with this epic American story about immigration, the Jewish experience post the Holocaust, being able to pull these amazing performances out of pretty talented actors and providing such a grand vision in cinema is something that you just don't see very often. It's reminiscent of a film from the 70s or the 80s with this type of scale and the type of narrative it's trying to tell. And while Brady Corbet can come off a little bit arrogant and pretentious when you hear him speak, that doesn't take away from the magnitude of his achievement. This film is a directing achievement, and there's nothing you can say that can sway me from that. The Brutalist, I thought, was an incredible experience, one that I enjoyed seeing a lot at the Brisbane International Film Festival, a film that stuck with me for a very long time, it still sits with me now. There's so many things to think about, so much complexity to these ideas, this visual imagery that has so much meaning, and there's so many moments in this film where it'll just pop into your head like a month or two later and be like, oh, that's what that means, or that's how that connects to this. And it's not like you're not understanding anything when you're watching it. You understand the grand scope of this thing. But when all these small details come together, it really shows the brilliance of this director and the magic he was able to pull off. The Brutalist is a stunning achievement, a stunning directorial achievement, and one that you definitely should watch for the prosperity of cinema, because wow, what a film. Now it is time for a very special award. This is the Fiancé Award, where my beautiful fiancée Tanisha picks out her 10 favorite movies of the year and ultimately decides on her favorite movie of 2024. Unfortunately, this is the last time we will have the Fiancé Award this year because
we're getting married next week. Woo!
That's right, exciting news. Next week we're traveling over to the States and we are getting married. It's going to be awesome. We've been planning this for so long now, and we are so very excited for that.
And the nominees are Anora, Challenges, Civil War, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Kneecap, Longlegs, Nosferatu, We Live in Time. And the winner of the Fiancé Award at the 3rd annual Kane Eddy Awards is Kneecap. I think it was just such a really, really fun movie, and I just think back on it and I absolutely loved everything about it. It was just fun. The music was great. I loved the acting. There was touching moments. I just think about it a lot, and I'm ready to watch it again because I thought it was such a good time.
It was a pretty badass pick, not gonna lie. It's time for the final two. The final two categories, and we're going to start off with the one that I've been talking about a lot, the one that you guys got to vote on. Here is the People's Choice Award, voted by you guys. We have 5 nominees here. These were the 5 that received the most votes, and the winner is obviously the one that got the most votes out of anyone for the best film of 2024. Here are the People's Choice Award nominees for the 3rd annual Kane Eddy Awards. Anora. Challenges. Civil War. Dune Part 2. And The Substance. Whew, that's a pretty good lineup, I'm not gonna lie. I like all those movies. There's not one that I disagree with here. And I don't really disagree too much with what you picked as the winner because it is a phenomenal film. The winner of the People's Choice Award at the 3rd annual Kane Eddy Awards is Anora.
Will you marry me?
Seriously?
Seriously.
3 carrots.
What about 4?
How can I fault that, man? You guys really picked a good one. I'm not gonna lie. Sean Baker's film, as I said when I gave it Best Original Screenplay, such an amazingly written film that goes through all these different genres with breakout performances left and right. And I think what makes it so appealing to the people is how entertaining this thing is. It is not just some boring, pretentious-ass movie. It is able to weave very serious ideas and themes with a real crowd-pleaser essence, and I think that can go into the deception of the film, which, all in all, is a director's job, is to kind of deceive the audience in a lot of ways. They're a magician in many, many respects, and I think Sean Baker pulled that off in a way where you got the best of both worlds, and I think that is why it is so appealing to everyone. Good job, everyone. I'm really happy with that pick, I'm not gonna lie. Well, here we go. The final category for today. Best Picture, my favorite film of 2024. It was hard narrowing this down to 10 as well, because there were a good 20 films that I had considered whether it should get nominated through some rhyme or reason. But these 10 stuck with me the most. And there were some great movies like on this list, some all-timers. And I think the winner of Best Picture today deserves to stand in the Hall of Fame with the previous 2 winners of the Kane Eddy Awards. If you don't know, the 1st annual Eddy Awards, I gave it to Babylon. The 2nd annual Kane Eddy Awards, I gave it to Oppenheimer. We're going to have a new winner, and it's going to join those 3. And I can't wait to unveil that with you guys. Here are the 10 nominees for Best Picture at the 3rd annual Kane Eddy Awards. Anora. Bird. The Brutalist. Challenges. Civil War. Dune Part 2. Inside Out 2. Longlegs. Nosferatu, and The Substance. Best Picture for the 3rd annual Kane Eddy Awards is Dune Part 2.
We gave them something to hope for.
That's not hope!
May thy knife chip and shatter.
The minute I left my screening of this movie for the first time, I knew that this film is not only the best movie of 2024, but one of the greatest movies I've ever seen, and I think is the greatest sci-fi film ever. I know that might be controversial, you might think recency bias, but let me tell you something, I have seen this movie 4 times this year. I never rewatch new releases. If it's maybe like a top 2 or 3 on my list. I might watch it a second time in the year, but that's very rare. To see a movie 4 times in the 1 year for me is unheard of, and that goes into the greatness of Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2. This upgrades on so many levels from the first one, which is a film I already adore. I gave the first one 5 stars. The second one is like 10 stars because it's so much better in so many ways. I couldn't believe it. It felt like I was watching a classic unfold before my very eyes. The screening I went to was unbelievable. It was the very first press screening I'd ever been invited to and had an absolute amazing experience, which is something that wouldn't happen without you guys. So I thank you so much for that, and I'm so grateful for that. I saw it on a massive screen with great sound, and I was enjoying it. I loved the opening sequence. I loved the battles in the Harkonnen arena. I love seeing Fade Rother come to life and what Austin Butler did with that character. But it wasn't until we start hitting the final 40 or 50 minutes of this movie where I realized that it was an all-timer. When you see Paul Atreides go south and the changes that happened with this character was just so badass, so compelling. Every single scene, nothing felt wasted. I couldn't believe it. And seeing Timothée Chalamet completely change as a character over the duration of this film is an unbelievable achievement. The speech he gives to the Fremen, "I am Paul Muad'Dib Atreides," that is something that I quote all the time. The final moments of this movie, that final battle between Paul and Fade Rother, the drama that ensues, the relationship dynamics that Paul has with Chani, and how all of that 180s as we see these changes with these characters unfold. Going back to that fight scene with Fade Rother and Paul Atreides, the way that it is filmed, having no score, only the sound of the battle unfolding, reminded me of an all-time fight scene in my eyes, the one between Bane and Batman in The Dark Knight Rises. It felt very similar to that in a lot of ways. It was shot immaculately. And then seeing the final moments of this film, the way that the score is utilized, playing Paul and Chani's theme as we see these betrayals happen, it really is spectacular. I loved every moment of Dune Part 2. And while the other 9 films on this list are incredible, The Brutalist, Anora, Nosferatu, The Substance, Inside Out 2, Bird, so on and so on, Dune Part 2 was the only movie where I walked out of theater just filled with adrenaline and passion for cinema. Only all-time movies can make me feel that way, where I leave the theater and I just can't sit still. I'm just so excited. And Dune Part 2 made me feel that way. It really is a magical movie. And if you haven't seen it, what are you doing? Watch Dune 1, watch Dune 2. Denis Villeneuve is the all-time greatest sci-fi filmmaker in my eyes. This run he's had with Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, these 2 Dune movies, unbelievable. It really is a stunning achievement, and I think Dune 2 is his greatest achievement. An absolutely beautiful film that I highly recommend to you guys. And those are all the categories for the 3rd annual Kane Eddy Awards. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember, this is just all my opinion. There's nothing going into it apart from what I enjoyed seeing the most. And it really is just personal preference. So if you have your own lists, if you have your own categories where you prefer something else, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to have a conversation with you guys. I'm just here to appreciate cinema with all of you, and it really has been such a wonderful ride in 2024. It was a big year for this channel, I thought, one where I saw quite a few strides that I was happy to make, getting to get invited to press screenings, make some new connections, have wonderful new people to talk to that genuinely enjoy cinema. It really has been a pleasure talking with so many of you. It really makes this so much fun. I will not stop doing this because it is such a blast. And I really look forward to what 2025 brings. Hopefully a strong year for films. I can't wait to see it and explore all of that with you guys in this new year. That's everything, man. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you love my content, please consider becoming a member, hitting the subscribe button. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye.